Hello and good day, everyone. Meteorologist Mark Mullner here. Great to be back with MeteoMark's weather. I am starting to feel better, so thanks, everyone. We will be looking at Hurricane Beryl here, heading towards the Texas coast early next week. Could this system actually become a Category 2 or greater, and is just South Texas or is Eastern Texas getting more in on the cone as time goes on? We'll take a look at the rest of your tropics as well as your weather. Let's get into it. So taking a look at the satellite here, you can really get a sense of the visible here. It's right over the Yucatan Peninsula, moving northwestward here, holding its own. So this storm has really held up to a lot of wind shear and now land interaction. You can see its core is definitely still intact here. Looking at the infrared satellite picture, you can see some of the deepest convection has come down a bit, and that's expected with land interaction. But if we take a look at the entire 3D view, circular view of our system, and it's got a massive core still intact, lots of towering cloud tops, and the structure has not really been disrupted that much. And it has unraveled, so it's become a larger circulation. So when this reemerges back out into the Gulf later Friday night into early Saturday morning, we could be looking at this storm definitely re-intensifying. So as we take a look at the simulated satellite, it gives us a really good idea of what the structure of the storm is going to look like, on satellite. And here it is, as we head throughout Friday evening into Friday night into Saturday, it does start to regenerate by 8 a.m. on Saturday morning here. And look at that firing burst of convection really starts to get cranking by 8 p.m. on Saturday evening, the 6th. So this is something we'll have to watch very closely because it really starts to resemble a full-fledged hurricane by this point, 2 p.m. on Sunday, the 7th. And you can see it really starts to form a potential eye here right around 8 p.m. on Sunday evening. There it is, looking very ominous on our hurricane model, HWRF, and then heading towards the north here. So if you're in Houston area, even as far east as Houston, Galveston, please stay tuned. This is continuing to wobble to the east and become stronger. So we may have a problem on our hands here as this continues to potentially make landfall further north and east. So if we overlay the isobars here, pressure gradient here on our HWRF hurricane model. So as it continues across the Yucatan and it reemerges here into the Gulf of Mexico this weekend, especially Saturday, this will be booking it towards the northeast here. You can see as we continue to head in time. So yeah, Friday evening, this could actually reemerge out here into the Gulf. So it's just east of guidance, which I'm really agreeing with at this point. I think this thing's going to strengthen quicker. It's got lower wind shear, warm sea surface temperatures. Why not? This thing can really start to take off, and I think it will. The hurricane model really running with this. 974 millibars here. This is by July 7th at 8 p.m. So you can see essentially what this is going to be happening is targeting Texas, and I think Mexico's by each passing hour is being taken off the hook of this. Now, you can see this is pushing just northeast of Corpus Christi, south of Victoria on this model run in particular, 8 a.m. on Monday morning, 964 millibars. So not completely out of the question. This thing could strengthen pretty rapidly. If you are in the Houston area, please stay tuned because this could continue wobbling your direction. And if it does, it could strengthen even quicker. So this could be a problem. Definitely not off the hook here in Houston. Now look at this as this wobbles towards the north. It becomes an inland buzzsaw with high wind and heavy rain and tornadoes and all sorts of stuff. And then moving northeastward here towards 2 a.m. on Tuesday morning, essentially the 9th here. So this is going to become a massive inland heavy rainmaker. You can still see the feeder bands coming off the Gulf here at this point. And then into northeast Texas, it becomes the proverbial buzzsaw as it heads towards the northeast. This is 8 p.m. on July 9th. So getting ready to cross over here into northwestern Louisiana. And the last couple frames here, you can see heading up into Arkansas by 8 a.m. on July 10th. So looking at the GFS here, you can see essentially what's going on with Beryl, weakening to that tropical storm phase, but, it's not going to weaken that much more as it crosses the Yucatan into the Gulf of Mexico. And as we head throughout the weekend here, GFS heading a little bit to the east of guidance, and I happen to actually agree with this. So this is going to have implications. If you're in the Houston area, still continue to watch this very closely, because if this strengthens quicker, which I think it could, potentially head up towards a 2 or maybe even a 3. This could continue to wobble eastward here, and this would put Houston into more of a danger zone. Now, of course, landfall is Monday morning between 9 and 11 a.m. here. GFS bringing this up towards just south of Victoria, Texas here, right along the coastline, and then moving inland and accelerating here towards the north as we head throughout the day into the Dallas area. And then you can see that comma shaped as it becomes extra tropical and the moisture gets funneled up here into the Ohio Valley. And look at this. We have a tail of moisture that just continues to stream here into New Orleans northward here. So that's something we'll have to keep close watch on. Behind Beryl here, what is exactly do we need to watch? Well, there is a period of clearing here. There is a tropical wave that's going to be moving on shore near Nicaragua and Honduras. This is about July 10th, but this allows you some time to recover in Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, the Yucatan, over towards the Lesser Antilles here, Grenada, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Barbados, all these areas that desperately need a period of quiet weather to clean up. And the GFS looks like it's coming through with us here. For the most part, it looks like towards July 12th, we do have a tropical wave here trying to get going in the Eastern Gulf, and that actually heads towards the northwest, towards New Orleans, towards the 14th. So that's an area that we'll have to keep a close watch on. Now, after the 15th here, this is where things really start to get ramping up again out by the Cape Verde Islands here. We're going to have to watch for the possibility that we could have, during this time frame, we might have a very good chance of our next storm forming out here. And don't forget, if you haven't hit that like button and you love this video, smash that like button, question or comment down below. I'd love to read your questions or comments. And if you haven't subscribed already, what are you waiting for? Please consider subscribing. Thank you, everyone. All right, so the European model here, you can see what's going on with our system. Essentially landfall across the Yucatan Peninsula here. And then, yeah, it's going to weaken to a tropical storm throughout the Saturday, Sunday time frame before likely intensifying here. This is likely to become, a hurricane again. And, the models are bringing this up towards Category 1. I think this could actually come up towards Category 2. The trend has been further east, so this is targeting Corpus Christi area. You got to keep an eye on this, because if this blows up into a 2 or a 3, this could wobble even a little further east and cause even more issues. You can see landfall point is right around Monday morning, the 8th here, into the 9th, and then it comes inland towards just east of San Antonio by this point as a tropical storm. And then as we continue through the 9th into the 10th here, you can see the system really becoming a massive rainmaker here across parts of the southern plains and the southeast as this storm moves up through the Mississippi and eventually towards the Ohio Valley towards July 12th and eventually into July 13th. Now, as we look at the rest of the tropics here, you can see we have a big tropical wave out here towards the Lesser Antilles. So this is something we'll have to keep a very close watch on. Another big wave here, one just southeast of Trinidad and Tobago. So the intertropical convergence zone really ramping up fast here in continuing. So this tropical season is far from over. We have a tremendous amount of activity to watch. And even this time of year, we have to watch the tail end of these frontal boundaries. So with Beryl's intensity here, none of the models, except for the ship's model, which I'm kind of on board with this, is showing a Cat 2 up to Texas here. So a little puzzling that most of them are just, strengthening it back to a Category 1 despite some favorable development. But this is a developing situation. So the models have not been very good with this storm mostly. So I don't know, I'm kind of in the ship's model camp here. I think it has a good possibility of becoming a Category 2 prior to landfall here again. So if we look, sea surface temperatures, they're not overly impressive here in the Western Gulf, but they're not that much below average either. And right near the Texas coast, That's where I think you'll see the big explosive development of what happens to Beryl here, because the temperatures are really warming. Even off the southeast coast here, the Caribbean is still very warm, but look at the Saharan dust out here, what it's doing. That's some, glimmer of hope here, but it's not going to last, unfortunately. So as we take a look at dry air, is there any dry air to preclude any problems here for Beryl? Not really. There is a little bit of dry air that's going to wrap around it, but I don't expect it to get into the center as we head through Sunday into Monday. Even at landfall, the dry air is mostly to the west, a little bit here over the western Gulf. The big story behind Beryl is all the Saharan dust. There is some massive tropical waves coming off the Cape Verde Island area, and those will continue, but the dust is going to spread as far west as the central Caribbean as we head through Saturday, July 13th. So if we look at the European run here, gives us a really good idea if we compare it. Yeah, there it is. The European model taking this to 989 millibars. 987. So yeah, there's some dry air, but as I said with the GFS, it's not going to become a thing. And on the last couple frames here through midweek, you can see the Saharan dust really does start to take over, but the intertropical convergence zone remains unusually robust despite all this dust. Rainfall amounts here with Beryl. That's going to be the big story. The Yucatan, another 70 to 100 millimeters, upwards of 3 to 5 inches likely. That heads up towards Texas. And then as we continue throughout the week, you can see we're just going to add these tropical waves here. Nicaragua and Honduras could be looking upwards of 200 to 250 millimeters of rainfall. That's going to bring you up towards 6 to 12 inches. And then look at Jamaica and the Cayman Islands, Hispaniola, Cuba. Most of these areas getting upwards of 70 to 100 millimeters. 3 to 4 inches, not out of the question. So we head to the Eastern Caribbean here. Yeah, the Lesser Antilles getting a break until we head throughout, say, next weekend into the following week. We start to get more tropical wave activity. You will still see upwards of 40 to 80 millimeters, 1.5 inches upwards of 3 inches potentially. Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, we could see some of these gully washers cropping up, 70 to 110 millimeters, 3 to 4 inches likely. So our severe weather outlook as we head into the rest of Friday evening and Friday night, the worst of it across West Virginia, parts of Virginia and eastern Kentucky. A marginal risk here across the Ohio Valley into parts of the Northeast, damaging wind, large hail. That threat shifts to the west here into your Saturday. Damaging wind, large hail potential here exists in Nebraska and to parts of Kansas. Isolated tornadoes cannot be ruled out. And then as we head towards Sunday, this slight risk extends into Kansas and Oklahoma, damaging wind, large hail, and tornado threat increasing. So our HWRF models, we continue throughout the rest of the afternoon and evening hours of Friday. You can see here across the southeast, we're looking at showers and thunderstorm activity. Those normal garden variety pop-up showers and thunderstorms, even up here into the northeast and Ohio Valley. That's just going to continue as we head through 11 p.m. and we head into the weekend. You can see where the storms are going to be. Mainly clustered up here around Pennsylvania and upstate New York towards 3 a.m. You can see those showers and thunderstorms even moving into the Hudson Valley. We could have some very heavy rain here into parts of north central Pennsylvania, the Chemung River Valley, the Susquehanna River Valley, up to the Mohawk River Valley. Some of these could be extremely heavy, so stay tuned. You might have some flash flood warnings all the way up to Glens Falls and even into Vermont and New Hampshire here as we head through 9 a.m. on Saturday. Now, luckily that clears out throughout much of New York and Pennsylvania, but you can see up here into northern New England, that's where things are going to continue to stay active. Even here into southern Ontario and Quebec, we might see some stronger thunderstorms. But this is 2 p.m. on Saturday, and as you can see here into the northeast, the only thing we have to talk about here is the Finger Lakes and Lake Ontario region, some scattered showers and thunderstorms, even a line of storms potentially developing here into southern New England. And that continues towards the northeast as we head towards northern New England, 2 a.m. on Sunday morning. It's looking like a nice day here into the Ohio Valley into the northeast for your Sunday. Now let's head down here into parts of the plains. You can see what we're going to be contending with. It's mostly these big, massive showers and thunderstorms. Some of these could contain damaging wind, large hail, tornadoes. Look at here into parts of the Carolinas as well as we head towards 7 p.m. on Saturday. Lots of shower and thunderstorm activity, but the big story we're going to be all watching is Beryl. Once again, a hurricane as it approaches Texas. You can see the HWRF model is even east of guidance here. Stay tuned, Texas. It's going to be a wild ride come Monday. So Derek Rentschler from Lebanon County, Pennsylvania. This is back on June 26. He had a strong to severe thunderstorm moving into the area. You can see that rapidly. Nice time-lapse footage here moving across the area. This has been the rule across much of the mid-Atlantic and the Northeast with these strong to severe thunderstorms. Look at all that wind moving through. These are some really nice captures here, Derek. He actually captured 2 strong to severe thunderstorms. You can see that one gusting through pretty rapidly here. And then the next storm here on June 29th in Lebanon County, Pennsylvania, you see the storm moving in as well. Another strong to severe thunderstorm moving through the area. Lebanon County, Pennsylvania, you can see this was a sight to behold once again. Back to back, it almost seems like days here this week with strong to severe thunderstorms last week across the area. Nice captures there, Derek. And John here from Chattelbosch, New York. Severe thunderstorm moving into the area. Look at those flashes of lightning there into the background. And as the time wore on here, you can see there's going to be more flashes. This has been the rule across much of the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic these last couple weeks as you've been getting more into this ring of fire pattern around that subtropical high. And some of these storms have packed a punch. Lots of lightning, wind, hail, and some isolated tornadoes. But very nice captures there, John, with that severe thunderstorm that was moving into your area back on June 30th. Nice captures. So picking up where our HWRF model left off as we continue through the rest of your weekend, you can see showers and thunderstorms around the edges here. The southeast, you get this proverbial tropical moisture. You got this severe weather here across the northern plains and some scattered showers and thunderstorms from southeast Canada to the northeast United States. That builds into high pressure for Monday the 8th. And then you can see around this high pressure system, we have a lot of moisture to contend with here. And that's just going to continue in time. The story out west is baking. I'll get to the Canadian weather here momentarily. It's just a few minutes later on in this forecast video. But you can see as we head towards the 9th into the 10th, we have shower and thunderstorm activity with this low pressure across Quebec. So that's something we're going to have to keep a close watch on. We have a little bit of a tropical wave here off the coast of the Bahamas and Florida that we'll have to keep a close watch on as well as we go throughout this week. And you can see unsettled conditions continuing across the Northeast with that frontal boundary. But the big story this week is going to be Beryl. It's going to barrel up the Mississippi River Valley. We have an area of high pressure dominating throughout the Ohio Valley into the Northeast, but that eventually gives way. You know, we're heading towards the following weekend. This is the 12th into the 13th. Could this actually make a rainy weekend for the Ohio Valley into the Northeast next weekend? Well, we'll have to keep a close watch on this because this could contain some very heavy rain if it does. So precipitation amounts here, the big story is going to be the tropical moisture, especially with Beryl here across Texas. GFS indicating, the worst of it obviously is going to be on the east side. So as we head throughout the week, that moisture gets funneled into the entire southeast here, picking up some really beneficial rain here. Much of Texas, especially eastern Texas here, on the order of 5 to as much as 12 inches in some of these locations. Now up here in the Ohio Valley, the Northeast, we'll see successive systems that could add up to 3/4 to 1.5 inches. And we compare that with the European model here. This just takes us through Tuesday, the 9th on this run. But you can see there is going to be the heaviest rain moving up Corpus Christi northeastward and northward here. And then lots of rain here across parts of the southeast, well ahead of Beryl. And here into the Ohio Valley, the northeast, we'll see a couple of those showers and thunderstorms amounting up to 1/2 inch on average. And just flipping over to the next European model that will actually go out further, you can actually see what's happening here. With the European model, it's a little slightly westward here. I expect this to come around with the GFS and the hurricane models, but you can see some of these totals 10 to 15 inches here across South Texas and Eastern Texas. The European is more progressive in taking this up towards the Ohio Valley late week, so we'll have to continue to watch it here. So if we take a look at Canada weather here, you can see, yeah, most of Canada looking really nice, the exception for southern Canada here, southeastern Canada through Saturday into Sunday. We have a little bit of a light system moving through here, shower activity, some thunder shower, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia. But then as we head through the 7th into the 8th, you can see mostly clear skies, except for here into northern parts of Quebec. We'll have a storm system that will be moving through. And then by the middle part of the week, 9th into the 10th, you can see activity here across Ontario and Quebec. That will be blowing up within a strengthening area of low pressure towards Wednesday and Thursday. You can see where the cold front will be dragging through this area. But then behind it, high pressure is building in across much of central and eastern Canada by late week into next weekend. And that is some great news because you'll be able to enjoy vacation plans if you have them and outdoor activities. Our next storm blasting up here towards Hudson Bay with a cold front. You'll have to watch out for some stronger thunderstorms in this region. Over towards British Columbia, that's where you'll be getting the heat building from the west coast of the United States. And as we head towards the middle part of the month, you can see activity increasing here across eastern Canada. Canadian rainfall here, if we take a look, it's mostly across southeast Canada this week. You know, anywhere from, say, 40 to 80 millimeters, 1.5 inches, 2.5 inches of rain. West coast of Canada, mostly dry, especially British Columbia. You can see all the activity here back east as we head through mid to late July, anywhere from, say, 70 to 90 millimeters. So as we head out to the Western Pacific here, about the only thing that really catches your eye currently is this big tropical wave out here just south of the main intertropical convergence zone, but that's really not going to amount to too much as we head through the next several days. Just some monsoon-type rains here across the southern Philippines. Now, we do have that massive monsoon here from eastern Asia all the way to South Korea and Japan. That's just going to continue with that endless parade of moisture that's going to continue. But this is normal for this time of year. What is not normal is the very lack of activity that we've seen. Now, that could change as we head towards the 13th and the 14th. We have a system we might have to watch just south of Japan here, another system out here further to the northeast, and then another system here towards Vietnam that we'll have to watch that could actually develop as well. And that could develop and make landfall. Yeah, there's even a system southeast of the Philippines here. So I think things are going to start to change in a way here out into the Western Pacific. We will start to see more activity. It's just not going to be the massive quantity of activity that you're used to. But as we continue towards the 15th, you can see this system out here south of, southeast of Okinawa, these areas just east of Taiwan, we'll have to watch closely. I got plenty more weather for you in just a moment, but take a look at my affiliate. Do you want some awesome maps? Check this out.
I am proud to announce that I am now an affiliate with Trilogy Maps. TrilogyMaps.com, bringing you the most digital, customizable maps found nowhere else on the internet. These maps are simply stunning. It's an advanced layering system that makes these maps great for making forecast maps with ease or any other maps that you would like to display important information on. The resolution on these maps is simply amazing. From the detail of everything here in the States, and you can also create stunning, digital, professional layered maps from also across the entire world. And don't forget, in checkout, the discount code option, use my code, MeteoMark, hit apply, and you will get 20% off your order. So if you want the most professional, customizable, and affordable weather maps found nowhere else on the internet, look no further than TrilogyMaps.com. Link in the description down below along with your discount code.
So if we look where the heat's going to be this weekend, it's going to be out west. Look at that. 110s all the way up to the interior valleys of even Oregon here. Look at back east, though. This is where it's going to be mid to upper 90s here across the mid-Atlantic, Carolinas, all the way up into eastern Pennsylvania. And as we continue through Sunday here, that's just going to build. You can see it's building from Texas in the west, and it's spreading northeastward here. 90, popular number here in Pennsylvania, southern New England, the mid-Atlantic, even into the Ohio Valley, getting into the upper 80s into Monday here. Look at that. We really start to warm well into the 90s up here into parts of the eastern Great Lakes, even New England. And the west just continues to bake out here. Look at this into Tuesday, 110s all the way up to Washington State. Look at this. This is Texas. This is the cooling down with potential Beryl here into the 80s. So lots of rain and clouds heading your way. Look at this cool shot heading throughout the Great Lakes, eventually into the Northeast for Wednesday. Some areas cooling down into the 70s here. And then as we later in the week here, look at this, the Northeast staying the most temperate into the upper 70s. Extended forecast from our hometown viewers, Binghamton to Scranton, Upper Susquehanna River Valley of New York and Pennsylvania. As you can see over the weekend here, we're going to see those showers and thunderstorms continuing on Saturday morning, early afternoon, maybe clearing after 3 p.m. up towards 90 into Sunday. Sunny skies, it's your best day. Into Monday, we'll get up towards the lower to mid 90s. Into Tuesday, a chance of showers and thunderstorms. Wednesday as well, staying very summer-like. As always, thank you for joining me for this edition of MeteoMark's Weather. Also, don't forget to join me on Facebook at MeteoMark, also Weather Northeastern, also Twitter at Weather Eastern. Don't forget it's MeteoMark.com, and don't forget, if you want to send me a coffee, there is a link, Super Thanks. You can smash that Super Thanks button or my PayPal link in the description down below. You can buy me a cup of coffee. Thanks, everyone. Share that video. Subscribe if you haven't. Smash that like button.